Hi guys, and welcome back. In today's video I'm changing the thermostat on the 2000 Chevy Blazer. To get started we need a few basic tools. We need this 13mm deep socket with an extension. Then we need this 13/32 socket with another extension. The ratchet, thermostat itself, and a screwdriver. Also, this penetrating spray to remove the rusted bolts. Now the thermostat is located under this housing. To remove the housing, there's a bolt here, bolt and nut here, and one behind this pipe. This pipe has to be lifted up. This cap that's connected to the air cleaner has to be removed. We have that screw on the clamp and this thumb screw. Once they're off, we just move this cap forward, and there's a lip under here where this connects to. These brackets are also going to have to be removed under here. Once the screw is loosened on this clamp, you can pull it off. And there's this hose back here that has to be removed. Remember to install this later. You have to pull the cap forward to get it off. Simply twist and off it comes. Now to get to the two bolts on the housing, we have to remove these brackets. There's a lot of rust on this. That's where that penetrating oil comes in. You want to be careful not to drop these nuts off and losing them into the engine. You never retrieve them. I usually keep my finger on the tip of the socket to hold the nut in place as I'm pulling it out. That's what I'm doing here. There's one nut. I'm going to fast forward this. Now that I have this bracket loose, come to find out I have to remove this other bracket that's holding the throttle assembly together. The reason I have to pull this off is that I can't get a socket straight onto the nut that's holding the thermostat housing. Now that that bracket's out of the way, I can get the socket right onto the nut. And again, I'll fast forward. I have the first nut off. Now I'm on the back nut. Okay, now that both of these are off, just pull the housing straight up. It may pop right off, you might have to tap it. This was able to come right out. I just have this cable in the way that's holding it down. I didn't disconnect the hose going into that pipe. Back to the side a little. And here's the old thermostat. It has a lot of buildup around it. I believe that's what's keeping it from opening and closing. I do have a video to show how to check a thermostat if you want to click onto that. It wouldn't hurt to keep this covered, either by putting this cover back on or keeping a cloth over the top of it, making sure nothing falls into it. There's a new thermostat. Now the new thermostats have the ring going all around. That's what was in there. The older ones had a gasket, and you had to put sealer on it. This is at 195 degrees. The other one was 195. Now you want to clean out the housing and the lip that this thermostat fits onto. This way it makes a good seal. So simply drop the thermostat in, put the housing on top, and put the 2 bolts back in. Now that sounds easy enough, but this front bolt just won't screw in. I'm making sure that I have it going straight up and down. And the thermostat housing has plenty of play in it, so I can move that around. That's not a problem. Just can't get this to bite into it. I'm going to try this back bolt. This is going in easy enough. I don't have to put any force on this, it's going right in. And again, I have that bracket that can move around. I'll try this front bolt one more time. No, it just snugs up right away. This is a problem. Either something fell into that hole, or that hole is stripped, or the bolt itself is stripped. This may have happened when I was unscrewing it. Again, the back one goes right in, goes in, out, no problem at all. Moving this thermostat housing out of the way, I'm going to take this back bolt and see if I could screw it into that front hole. Okay, that's going in. So the problem, looking at this front bolt, is with the bolt. This front thread is stripped. I have a top and die set that I just passed this through real quick, and it cleaned up that thread. Now to put it back in, making sure that it's straight up and down. I don't want to cross thread this. This is going into an aluminum block. Now it screws right in. No problem at all. Straight in. I'll hand tighten the front one, then the back one. Once I have it snug, then I'll use the ratchet. I don't have the torque for this. If you need the torque, you have to look it up. I just snug it down, and it's just, I tighten it by feel. Now we lost daylight, and I'm putting these brackets back on. Now this one nut has to go all the way down, and generally when I put the nut on, I'll hold the nut with the tip of my finger, but in this case I can't reach down, so I'm using a piece of gum. The gum will hold that nut in there, and I don't have to worry about dropping it in. If you're not chewing any gum while you're doing this, a piece of paper will work. But the gum works a lot better. I don't have to worry about dropping that nut down and not being able to finish this job because I'm missing a nut. Simply screw it in. Once we have it snug down, then we'll tighten it with the ratchet. Now to connect the rest of this bracket. combination of 2 nuts and 1 bolt that holds this bracket on. There's this one in the front, 1 off to the side, and 1 down in the back. Let's fast forward this. Now that these brackets are all tightened up, just want to make sure this throttle cable's okay. It's working properly. And while we have this open, I'm going to spray a little carb cleaner down in here. I'm not going too heavy with this. Generally I would clean this out really well if I was changing the spark plugs. Let it burn up a little bit on the plugs that are there, then change it. But we're not getting into that today. This is just a quick cleanup on the face of it and a little bit on the outside on the mechanism, making sure everything's working. Wipe up anything that'll come off. Now we'll put this cover back on. You have this ledge on the bottom that clip gets onto. You have the hole up front that thumb screw will go through. It just slips on from the front to the back. First we'll connect it to the hose for the air intake. It slips right on. Don't forget to put that back hose back on. I'm not showing it here. There's the thumb screw. And you can see that hose is right behind that screw that I'm putting in now. This is just hand tightened. Now, I had this running for a few minutes and temperature's climbing up. I'm going to let it run for about another 10 to 15 minutes and take it for a ride. There's no leaks. We're doing good over here. In my nut and bolt cup, there's nothing left over. Everything went back. That's always a good sign. Okay, now the temperature's about midway. This is where it generally sits when I'm driving. I'm going to take it for a drive now, see what it looks like when I get back. Okay, I'm back from the drive. It's holding temperature. I'm getting heat. Everything's working fine. If you found this video useful, be sure to pass it along and let me know by liking it and posting a comment. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Until next time, stay safe.